What up? You know what it is, man. Your boy TrendsetterSense. This is a very, I don't even want to use the word special. I'm sitting next to this good brother, man. Won an award with this brother with a mixtape, The Killer. This man took me on the road. One of the most extraordinary voices, not only in hip hop, but in politics, in community affairs, in business, a CEO, an artist, a poet. I mean, the list, it just goes on and on and on. Grammy Award winning, but also Grammy nominated 3 times. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times this go around. My brother, the world famous Killer Mike, man.
Yeah, what's up, man? I'm happy to be here.
Man, like, you know, the relationship goes beyond just this platform. You know, you've taken me, you've picked me up, you've taken me. I've met your family. You know, we've had very deep conversations, learned a lot, and I just thank you for sharing this platform, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. I'm so proud of you, man. You and just the whole crew. I'm going to go back even further than just you, Cannon, and Drama, the super friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm just, I'm proud of us all. It's been a heck of a 20-year journey, and just getting a chance to see people in the city collaborate and cooperate has just been, you know, we cheering for each other.
Yeah.
So just know I'm proud of you, dog.
I'm beyond proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
Let's dive into it. First of all, congratulations, like I just said, on the Grammy nominations. But
thank you.
What was going through your mind when you found that out?
Oh man, I knew making this album, it was something special. Making Michael, me and Cuz Lightyear, you know, some of you guys have followed him from his mass appeal, you know, March Forward, you know, put his career on pause, and we got in, he A&R'd this project, and
salute.
He's just look forward to him being one of the all-time great A&R wives. And you know, should they ever choose to pivot back into artistry, y'all ain't gonna be mad at that either. But that kid's amazing. But yeah, making it, we took it serious. So we wanted to be Grammy winners. So the Grammy nomination is a stop on the road to marching out with some trophies. In my opinion, you know, Michael is to black males, working class males, and the women that love them, you know, and people and families that love them. This is your miseducation album, you know.
Wow.
From the black masculine side.
Wow. Of course, 2023, we're here going into 2024.
And my reference to miseducation is Miseducation Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
For those who may not know.
I mean, I didn't. If you,
I know you knew.
Under a rock, I didn't.
You gotta say, you gotta, you know, get an internet troll to change.
Talk about the state of hip hop, man. And it's funny because I've been seeing paying attention to a lot of dialogue about the negativity in hip hop, the impact on the community, how it affects children, and I'm listening to Michael, studying, you know. I wanted to dive in, you know, to my brother. And, you know, it felt like an autobiography almost to me.
It's autobiographical, absolutely.
Right, okay. And
not just about me, though, just about this city and the community I grew up in.
Right. And at the same time, that hip-hop has been getting this negative effect to it. And of course, I want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah.
Michael drops, and you're creating Michael.
Yeah.
Can you kind of break down a moment in time? Because hip-hop gets such this impact that it's not affecting the kids, the community in a proper fashion.
If you're one of the people that are highly critical of hip-hop and you aren't as vocal about my album, you're a liar. And shame on you. I don't know who wrote the 10 bad books when Zora Neale Hurston wrote Of Mules and Men, of Their Eyes Were Watching God. But I know those two. You know, I don't know who the bullshit minstrel show writers were who were still doing black minstrel shows, but I know who Paul Robeson was. You You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what trash was being created that your grandparents and parents parted to. But I know songs in the key of life. I know Mahalia Jackson. So my thing is, if you're gonna spend that much time talking about a negative and not give as much time to a positive like my album, Michael, you're just full of shit. You still like pornography. You just like to look at it and tell somebody else they should be ashamed.
Wow. Wow.
That's all. Oh, I've watched what you watching. You should be ashamed of yourself. Well, you're not ashamed of yourself.
Right.
Look at the ignorance you watch. Look at the ignorance that sprang you. I remember watching Dr. Naeem Akbar, and I always tell people, Google these names. I'm saying these people still alive. Watching Dr. Naeem Akbar and them asking him, you know, what did he do? He was giving a speech. I think it was over at Clark. And he was giving a speech, and they were talking about, you know, the negative influence of media. Because at that time, folks were saying rap was destroying us too. Y'all same folks that stand in the kitchen and say this. Remember, y'all grew up to 2 Live Crew. You grew up to Too Short. You know, you grew up to the Dogs, Disco Rick. You grew up to all the things that generations before us said were terrible to us and that were going to tear us down. But what you have is a counterbalance in Atlanta. So I'm speaking hyper-locally. If you went to Therrell, you went to Mays, you went to Frederick Douglass, the school you was named for Black excellence.
Right.
It was up for you to seek it. It was up for the teachers to encourage you. Many of the principals, they did. But what you had was balance. And you got to question yourself there. If kids are absent balance, how have I contributed to that? How have I contributed to? Do you go to your local schools and volunteer and help? Do you host a reading hour in your home on Saturdays for kids? Do you do 20 pages a day? You know, what do you do before you get to the rapper? We rappers, we ignorant. We don't know no better. We just gonna sing and dance and yeah, but we educated in the same schools that sprung you. So what happened to Frederick Douglass High School in between 1993 and 2003? There was a school of excellence with only 2 principals. Now you can down to name 10 principals they went through. Currently they got a great principal over there. So you got guys like me, T.I., Lil Jon popping up, you know, helping to get the school on course and where it should be, you know. If we not doing that, then we can't keep talking about the negative that rap.
Okay.
Because rap doesn't educate your children first. You do.
Yeah.
So what is so shakable about the foundation that you have laid or not laid for your child that rap has that big of an influence? I rap Too Short, but I still knew to respect my mama and my auntie, and I ain't get too fly at my mouth with my grandmother. What are you allowing your children to see? See, there was a time where children had to go in the other room. I don't know what the fuck was going on in the adult room, but it sounded amazing. Are you putting those barriers between you and your children, you know? Right, in terms of when you, do they see you? If your child see you hitting the dope, you know, if your child see you, and let's get beyond that, because that's low class, that's when we start blaming poor people. If your child see you working hard for a house and not them, or your child see how much your Mercedes matter to them, and you get an ungrateful, spoiled, rotten child, you contributed to that. You can't blame that on rap.
So are you saying like who's accountable?
I'm saying we're all accountable. But before you start pointing us out, look in the mirror and say, what am I doing or not doing?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying
before
like,
you even start being entertained
right,
by a person blaming rappers,
right,
what is that person doing?
Right.
And why aren't you doing it with them instead of watching them talk about rappers? If you're wasting an hour of your time watching somebody degrade a rapper, you have wasted an hour of opportunity of time to help the neighbors to the 10 doors left and right of you. Did you go cut somebody's grass who yard ain't been cut? Did you go tutor a child? No, you didn't. You sat and watched some entertainment, talk about other entertainment that doesn't agree with the entertainment your children watching. You're just a part of the same matrix we are. You know,
so in Killer Mike's lens, like outside, you know, you listed some things. I'm just thinking like, what are some of the steps that the accountability?
Well, on a hyper local level, what was Killer Mike doing last night? Well, the day before this, the day before I was shooting a video in Miami. Had just left shooting a video in LA. Told my wife I just need a day of rest. Stayed a day and rested in Miami. Got on the plane, got here, landed. Made sure that organizations got up to $50,000. Georgia Youth Build is one of the organizations. Gary Davis's Next Level Boys Academy. What those organizations do? Next Level Boys Academy takes young men who facing 100-year, 200-year life sentences, gives those boys, through cooperation with the courts, a second chance, an opportunity to redeem themselves. You know, to wipe their criminal records clean and to be productive young men. told Gary Davis last year, your cameramen are right in here with you. You don't have to go find a cameraman to hire. Train these boys. Was proud to see that this year these boys brought their own cameras. They was filming their own thing. But that's what Gary Davis is doing. Christina, over at Georgia Youth Build. Georgia Youth Build takes young men and women from 14 to 24 years old, teaches them an actual trade, electrician, carpentry, welding. Those kids then go get union jobs, making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. Well, that's what I do. That's what I did. So I was working 3 dadays ago. I reset for 1 day, and then last night I landed and I made sure that corporations like Tito's Vodka, people were donating money right out of their pockets there, that they got money, and I was standing in a building I own. I was standing in the swag shop, you know, and I was making sure that the people that I employ had an opportunity to use their trade on young tradesmen and young women, so they could, young tradesmen and young tradeswomen, to understand the importance of having a trade. So that's what I do hyper-locally, because that's what my grandmother told me you're supposed to do. Take care of hyper-locally, what you're supposed to do. You know, so for me, that's what I'm doing in Atlanta. I'm making sure that I am a part of philanthropic things that make sure children have trades. That's what I do, because that's what I deem is important. Other stuff that I do, I sit on the board of the High Museum. I make sure that they stay an all-inclusive museum, a museum that expands and broadens and opens its doors to make sure that kids from the West Side who are inspired by art like me, you know, like Shannon McCullen, who's Little Yachty's father, people like Fahamu Piku, who's a famous artist here, that people like us know that we're welcome there. That's one of the things that I do. You know, one of the things I do is I make sure that the things that put me here, I reinvest into. And first and foremost, those are the young people in Atlanta, you know? So I would advise you to ask your 10 neighbors, what can we do to make our neighborhood better, and be about the business of that. That means that you may not change the world, but you're gonna change your world. You know, there's a woman I've known since I was 11 years old, Chief Judge Asha Jackson. She started the Pinnacle program out in DeKalb County. It takes people who may have gotten in some trouble, gives them a year to redeem themselves, and after that year, they graduate the Pinnacle program. Their program was so successful that black woman, Democrat, provides an example for a statewide program that a white Republican governor says that this is worthy, and then puts another black woman, Democrat, Mrs. Ali, over from juvenile court. So that's what I do with my time. I try to involve myself in things that are going to affect us on a state level, on a broader policy level for kids. I try to make sure that kids have trades so that we're growing the next level of middle class people in terms of growing them into adulthood, make sure we can have stable families that produce kids that are learners and earners. And you know, and I try to be about the business of being about black business.
Of course, the world famous Killer Mike's in the building. TrendsetterSense. This is Rhythm and Streets. Let's dive all the way back, man. When did Killer Mike discover his true purpose?
When I discovered my purpose, I was 9 years old.
Exactly.
I want to be an MC. That's my purpose.
And that was a 9-year-old on the
cover,
right?
Yeah, that's a 9-year-old on the cover with the halos and the horns. Like, this mischievous little kid went to Collier Heights. But I knew my purpose early. I know what I wanted to be. My mom was only 16 years old. My mom's 25 at the time. She was smoking a joint, and I was just like, I want to be an MC. She's like, fuck it, you know, rap fuck it, you know what I mean? That I appreciate Denise. You know, I'm usually wearing her around my neck, but I appreciate her and my grandmother Betty. My grandparents Betty and Willie raised me, so I grew up in a 2-parent household. But my mother was an artist by nature, and in her heart, she just appreciated music. So I went from listening to disco with her, Donna Summer, and you know, that Off the Wall album, Michael Jackson, and man, Rick James album. Like, I went to listening to Gap Band, all this dope music through her, and then she discovered hip hop. She discovered Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow, and you know, she was the first person to bring Roxanne Shantae's, you know, album home to me, signed by Shantae, a real picture. So my mother encouraged hip hop. She loved early rap, and then I just grew. I wanted to be, you know, what I seen my older cousins aspired to be. I wanted to be a b-boy, but I was too chubby to backspin. I couldn't figure out that backspin to save my life. But what I did figure out was rhyming, and it's just been my life's passion. And what I understood though is, although I have a purpose, you know, and what I feel my purpose is that that God truly has a bigger purpose for me, and what my purpose will allow me to do, and what my purpose as a platform has allowed me to do to help people, to help others, and just to expand, you know, and make my people proud.
When was it that when you know, because your knowledge is one of the most brilliant people that.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself to be. I just think I like
bro,
to
you brilliant,
read.
bro.
I like
you brilliant. You know, you took me on the road with you. We used to have good long conversations, and it's beyond, you know. Look at all the things that like you've done, and so I say that to say, like, when did you, like, what was it where you felt like Mike had this responsibility to educate and inform?
Well, I mean, you just, you know, knowledge is something that I eagerly seek, and I'm willingly willing to gift to anyone who will receive it, because you know, what do they say? Education makes one unfit to be a slave. I think Frederick Douglass said that. Like, man, knowledge, man, it makes you unfit to be a slave. Like, you know, it can, man, I don't care if you locked in prison for 100 years, man. You get to reading and you get to learning, and your mind not out of prison anymore. You know, if you can put me in chains, you can whip me, man. But look at what the African American experience has been in terms of when given the opportunity to acquire knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Look what we've done. Built Tuskegee University, you know, built Morris Brown, Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, you know. Look what you've done in the regular world with regular working people and what they've been able to do in terms of gifting their children the opportunity to learn. My grandparents' parents were sharecroppers. They were the children of people that had been enslaved in this country. My grandmother, and, you know, her mother made sure that they owned land so that their children could be educated. You know, and that investment by my great-grandparents, Truth Zeller Blackman and N.H. Blackman, you know, that's carried through with my grandparents, Betty and Willie, that seed they planted, provides shade from a tree they never got to see. That's me. And so I owe it to my people to be smart. Doesn't mean smarter than, because I'm always a student, always learning, but don't be dumb.
Right.
That was a shameful thing when I was a child.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's just, what you acting dumb for? Old people specify what you acting dumb for.
Right.
Because you're not dumb.
Right.
You're acting.
Yeah.
You know, so I wanted to be smart because my friends were smart. I wanted to be smart because my parents encouraged knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I wanted to be smart because my grandparents, that's what they admired more than anything else.
Right.
And I think that if we as a community stay in admiration of that, then our children will respond by showing that they're competent, and we grow their confidence by them doing it. And we all gotta want it, you know?
Right.
We watch TV together, we listen to music together. There's no reason we can't read 10 pages a day together. No reason.
Don't seem too hard.
Yeah, it's not. It's just 10 pages.
Right.
We're gonna read 10 pages.
Right.
Just as a family, we're gonna quiet the house down, and we're gonna read 10 pages. However long it take to read just 10 pages, and then we'll talk about the 10 pages we read.
Right.
They can be the same book, they can be a different book, but 10 pages isn't very much.
Right.
You know?
You talked about God spoke to you and, you know, guided you to the purpose. Can you kind of like dive into like that experience?
I mean, I honestly thought I was gonna die. Like, before they had even named COVID, I came back from California.
Really?
We shot the Ooh La La video, Run the Jewels. For those of you who may not know, I've been in a very successful rap group the last 10 years called Run the Jewels. And it's just been amazing. Me and LP, formerly of Def Jux, white brother from Brooklyn, who's just amazing.
Congrats
on the
on
rhymes,
that,
you know
man.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we're having a hell of a run. I love being one half of that group. And with that said, the group is kind of like the Uncanny X-Men, right? So people have never expected us to be together. They would never expect people like Gangsta Boo, 2 Chainz, Big Boy, Josh Homme, Mavis Staples, Zach De La Rocha to pop up. But these albums are wild and zany. It's amazing. It's still a niche though, you know. So, you know, as many people had known that Mike's still doing his thing, a lot more people might have think I just pivoted into politics and ran around presidential candidate.
Right.
You know, people of my complexion that look like me, they might have didn't know it. I fell asleep once I got back from shooting the Ooh La La video. I went to my man Butter. When Dre said I got a homeboy named Butter, another homeboy named Cheese. Our homeboy Butter, I went to his dad's funeral. And I came back and I just fell flat on my face for 14 days. I was sick as a dog. I couldn't eat. I barely could move. You know, my wife, who had I convinced to drop out of nursing school, thank God she nursed me back to health. And then later on, a couple weeks later, it was like, oh, this thing called COVID, the world's gonna shut down.
So that's what you had COVID?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
And I said, man, if I would have died, I would have only been known in proximity to my relationship with Outkast, in proximity to my relationship with Grand Hustle. Shouts out to Tip and Jason and Jeter, Hannah. Rest in peace, Clay, for giving me a place to be as I was building independently. It would have only been in proximity to even my rap group, which I'm very proud of as well. One half of Run the Jewels, people know Killer Mike. That's this badass, you know, MC that this 9-year-old created in his head, but people had never met Michael Render. They'd never known the kid that grew up in the Collier Heights, Allensville community, went to Collier Heights, Frederick Douglass, went to Morehouse, you know what I mean, was freshman year, you know, trapping bags of mid-weed, you know what I'm saying? They've just never known this full story and character, the person behind it. Right. And I had to make sure they knew him. And that's what this album was like. It was like my grandmother would tell me, you can't run from the Lord. And I'm meant for something. I have a purpose. That is, and I hate when musicians usually do this, you know, I have a purpose that's bigger than rap. No, my purpose, I like rapping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God has a bigger purpose for me than rap. And I'm willing to accept whatever my purpose is. You know, just God, don't make me stop rapping. You know, I think that was my prayer. And it's when I opened my heart up to accept what my grandmother had told me, that you're going to have to return to God. You're going to have to return to the lessons and the morals you've been taught. It doesn't necessarily mean to turn into a preacher or a physical church, but I had to return to the sounds and the vibration that made me. And that was gospel, that was soul, that was something distinctly Southern. I had to return to the morals and the mannerisms of the people who embedded them in me, my grandparents. I had to embrace full Southernness. I had to embrace the church and gospel experience, and I had to admit my sins. And talk about the things that I'm ashamed of.
You had to repent?
And I had to, you know, I've had to repent for many things, but I ain't never been bad on repenting. I let the Lord know, but boy, letting the world know. That's a harder thing. You know, when the world looks at you like you're uppity, you're big time.
Right.
And you got to say, no, I was a petty drug dealer as a teenager because I wanted Jordans, and I got a girl pregnant and had to go through an abortion. That really centers people and helps them understand I'm just as human as you. I've made as many dreadful mistakes and mishaps as you. And with that said, God's grace is always extended to me and you. And it really resonated with people, especially, you know, people that come from the lineage of the churches that I came from, the music that I listened to, of the places I've been to, and places like the west side of Atlanta, all black enclave.
Yeah.
Well, you got all kind of black folks, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got all that together. And you understand that when all your heroes and villains look like you begin to see the world in a much more fair way, because you understand we just human beings.
That was well put, man. Killer Mike's in the building. Of course, it's TrendsetterSense, man. And you talking about, you know, the honesty of you know, your purpose and the challenges. Have you ever had like spiritual battles where you're like fighting worldly battles as opposed to spiritual battles? Like dive into like
what man does it? What human being does it?
Right,
you know?
right.
We all at war. You ain't nobody, you know. I mean, it makes for good clickbait to argue, you know, some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And pick your side so that people, I rally behind Christian rap. I'm not with sinful rap. But in the Bible it say you're all sinners. We all, if you know, falling come short of glory of God, man. That's, you know, I am as spiritually torn as all of you. That's why I remind people, I don't care if they get this talking too good about me. I'm still gonna be in the Blue Flame later. You know, you still gonna see me out. And guess what? The people who own and work in the Blue Flame still gonna help Greg Street get bikes and clothing and stuff for children, because that's important. Some children don't get to eat a turkey but once a year. Some kids don't get bikes if it ain't for organizations like Bear Strong. All of it is important. You know, everybody don't care about you singing about and rapping about the Lord. Some people care about Jesus producing that, feeding them 5,000 people out of that little bit of bread, that little fish they had.
Yeah.
So it all counts, you know, that we've all done things that we should be ashamed of and could be shamed for. But I look at rap and rappers like we all are trying and doing our best. And so I tend not to be hypercritical of anyone but me. And you know I got as far as I've gotten, I know I got a long way to go. I mean, I just thank the Lord extending me some grace.
Yeah.
You know?
We here in one of
You're the villain's compound.
beautiful
Yeah.
properties.
Yeah.
The CEO and the entrepreneur, Killer Mike.
Yeah.
Greenwood Bank. Swag Shop.
Yeah.
All the properties, man. Tell me the evolution of entrepreneurial Killer Mike.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I was watching an interview by Byron Allen before we started today, and he talked about
Byron Allen. Yeah.
Byron, for those who don't know, he owns the Weather Channel. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He was attempted to buy
the Griot, right?
Yep. He owns the Griot as well. Yeah. And he's an absolute hero of mine because when I was a little boy, I used to watch him on a show called Real People.
He was a comedian, correct?
Yeah, he is a comedian.
Yeah.
Still, but he ain't laughing because ain't shit funny, right? But Mr. Allen used to be on a show called Real People, and it just went around the United States showing these quirky. You know, I didn't know white people. I lived in the west side of Atlanta. All I saw was black people. Some black people was light skinned like my daddy family and you. Some people brown skinned like my mama family. But all I knew was black people. So these kind of shows, these, you know, kind of like variety of shows, the Barbara Mandrell show, stuff like that brought me and let me see other people and cultures and kind of meet them where they was at. But Byron was on the show. He was one of the correspondents. So I always knew who he was. But apparently in 1993, he grabs the great idea to start his own thing. And he talks about calling 200 different TV stations, getting refused by them 50, 100 times. He had already put together his own show with his own money, took his own risk, told people he got 14 minutes of commercial time, 7 minutes you could use because your local TV shows, once people finally started opening up to him, 7 minutes you can sell, 7 minutes I'll sell. Just a brilliant brother. And he could only do it his way if he took the risk and put up the money and did it his way. When you look at Tyler Perry's documentary, it's amazing because you get to see how much risk he took on himself. How many times it didn't work. The pain, the agony, the embarrassment. That's what I went through. You know, DJ Sense would have been my DJ the whole way, but at some point I couldn't afford to pay. I had to go, you know. That's not a slight to you.
Yeah.
It's telling people that you're gonna fail. Yeah, I failed the first few times. It wasn't that I was a failure, just didn't work out how I wanted it to work out. You know what I'm saying? You understand that because it's not worked out for you in something before.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of people watch you think, man, this boy light skinned with good hair, this boy never had a bad day.
Yeah, all right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've seen you work. I've seen Cannon work. I've seen drama work. I've seen all the kids who were interns 10 years ago come up. All of a sudden now they're A&Rs, they're moving. I've seen them work. No one ever acknowledges that part of what we do.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the product of relentlessly putting one foot in front of the other. I can't tell you I had this shit thought up.
Really?
I can't tell you I had it planned out. I can tell you I knew where I wanted to go. I saw the mountain on the other side of the forest, but I knew I had to walk in that forest to get to that mountain, and I didn't know which way to go. I just knew if I could keep seeing that mountain, I keep through that forest, that's it, that's all. That's why I'm so proud of us. I'm proud of us individually, proud of us as a city, I'm proud of us as our generation as we came up in this music because we've managed to keep it going. When the face left, man, I thought everything might leave. Next thing you know, man, I see all the people who were just college students coming up, springing up, forming their own thing. It's like a spider web. It's a bunch of little things. So I'm just, man, I think if I had any advice to give any kid out there, it'd simply be to get up every day, wash your face, make up your bed or not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But whatever your goal is, put one foot in front of the other every single day toward that goal. When
your back is against the wall, like, I heard you rap about that. Like, that's when you're at your best.
That's at your best, man. When the world, when you think the world against you, man. Yeah, it's something about if you can access that desperate energy, then man, you impossible to beat. You're impossible if you tap into the feeling, because it sharpens you. In my opinion, it sharpens me. The reason I'm ready for the now is because I went through the then. You know what I'm saying? I've been making music of this quality, but I didn't understand the importance of mixing and mastering. Didn't understand the importance of, taking time to craft it and make sure, was just trying to get it out. And all the failure, all the trials and tribulation, all the little wins, all the big wins that I've had up until this moment have mattered in making this moment happen.
Ah, wow, that's crazy.
Because once you get a big win, you feel it good and you want it again.
So
you say, well, what did it take for me to get there? What's the discipline it took?
Yeah.
What's the regimen I had? You know, the discipline of being in Run the Jewels helped sharpen me to make this album. The undisciplined Michael of the Pledge series, who made great music but wasn't disciplined enough in understanding your mixing and your mastering process, and this is what you need to do. Wasn't disciplined enough in understanding, take some time to develop your brand, not just to, not just put out the music. How you gonna market the music? How you gonna get out there, shake hands? I've learned from it all, man. I appreciate the journey. There's one thing I always tell people, I regret that we didn't put out the Grind Time Skulls and Roses mixtape, because I would have put it out because you were the most dominant R&B DJ in the city at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I'm just like, God damn. If we ever get back together and just, you know what I'm saying? Well, get up together. We never got apart, but we ever get up with
you
guys.
Put it out there, man. It ain't too late.
Like, because I'm telling you, man, that's just one of the mishaps, though. I see, like, God damn. I should have been about my shit, and I wasn't about my shit at that moment. You know what I mean? And
bro, I mean, I think you're in a beautiful place, though.
Yeah, I am. I'm not mad at the journey. But
you're just thinking about, like,
I have to hold myself accountable. I have to say, but you could have done this. You know what I'm saying? You could have done better at this. That's all. I don't have very many regrets, but I do have. I'm gonna get a do-over, and I'm gonna do it better this time.
I love it, man. I love the conversation. Talk about, like, we're diving into, like, everything that you got going on outside of the music, man.
Yeah.
Like, how were you able to discover the resources? I mean, bro, you align with being a founding member of a bank.
Yeah.
Properties.
Yeah. I think just my grandparents just taught me keep a good name. Keep a good name in the community, and I've realized that many of the things that have led me to these opportunities have been things that I just did because they were the right thing to do. When it comes to Paul and Ryan and Andy and Bo, approaching me about Greenwood, I had already, for 5 years prior to that, just been on the campaign to get people to start accounts at black banks. I was telling people, your holiday account you're going to buy clothes with, or and toys, your retirement account, just pivot to Citizens Trust, pivot to Carver Industrial, pivot to one of the banks that service your community directly. So if you see somebody consistently do something for, it ain't about the money, it's just about other people for 5-6 years, when you decide to develop something that can help and you're opening business, you would say, hey, maybe this is a person I should loop in, because they're already passionate about it. It's just like getting on the board of the High Museum. I was already passionate about art. I already told people, I'm not only a buyer of art, I was in the visual art even before rap. I was in high school. So it is whatever I've done has been a result of things that I've wanted. I wanted to own a barbershop when I used to go to Bell Wilder and Hollis Barbershop in Dixie Hill, because it was one of the places outside of my family, because I had a lot of strong black male, representation in my family. But it was for me to get a chance to be around other men that didn't have the same last name, and I could hear other perspective from. So I'd been wanting to shop. What I didn't understand in opening a shop is that you really a brand. You're masquerading as a barbershop.
Okay.
But this is really the swag shop. When you can do booth rent, or you can do, commission and salary, and you hire and have tradespeople, and I'm very honored that I get to do that. Selling $20,000, $30,000 worth of t-shirt in a month is like, whoa, shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, not only do they like the haircuts, people like our style, and we enhance their swagger. So seeing that makes me say, well, I don't like going to a beauty supply store with my wife, because she can stare in there a long time. Shayna be shopping, She can shop for 3 hours into everything in the science store. So I say, man, I know other brothers got to feel like this, so let me just put products on our shelf. So you start putting lifestyle products and stuff, whether it's cigarette lighters, ashtrays, whether it's t-shirts that match your J's you're buying and stuff like that. And it started doing well, and now we got, products coming out by way of, your beard sheen, your shampoo and conditioner and stuff, because I wanted a place that not only men can come get a cut, but just all the guy stuff is there for you already. The swag shop's a culture. Yeah. The swag shop is where, it's where I want the people that listening to your music to come to look good before they come see you at the club to spend. The guys that watch this podcast, I want them to be watching it in my shops. I want what a social environment could be, should be, and will be in a black barbershop experience, even though we ain't just servicing black people.
Right. In your song, Yes, you talked about you got a meeting with the governor.
Yeah, I was on the 25th, had a meeting, yeah.
How'd that meeting go?
It went very well. I'll say, you know, when the governor calls and says, hey, I'm going to have some members of the office hit you, there's a workforce development meeting happening, I want you there at the table, you take it seriously, because I'm an owner of a small business, hoping to grow a medium and a large business, and I understand that my city is only the city it is because we had a mayor, and our first black mayor, Maynard Jackson, who understood business. And when public and business relations could benefit his community, he took advantage of encouraging and making it happen. So I don't take my relationship with the governor lightly. It's not a hokey photo op opportunity. What it is it's an opportunity for me to talk to the highest elected official in my state as a member of his constituency and as a member of a community of people who are 33% to 35% of his state.
Yeah.
And when I got in that meeting, and I got an opportunity to see the heads of 50 organizations throughout Georgia, from Home Depot to Lockheed Martin to AT&T, you get to see how many people, black people, other black folks, are in this room and hold power. You get to hearing the stories about workers being needed. Georgia has been #1 in business growth and development for the last 10 years. Brought 9,000, this current governor has brought 9 new corporations, 9,000 new jobs. There are currently 16,000 new jobs going to be created here over the course of the next 15 and 20 years. Georgia's going to need more tradespeople than probably any other state. Tradespeople being everything from carpenters, electricians to welders.
Right.
And this is what I'm hearing in a room full of people. This is the room the governor's invited me to.
Wow.
And what I realized in that is I'm a product of everything they say they're aspiring for. I went to Atlanta Public Schools when you could still study a trade in school, mechanical drafting, woodworking, mechanics, things of that nature. I learned how to fly planes because a man named Jim Berto, who taught at George High School, recruited me and some other students from other high schools to learn in the summer program, learn aviation mechanics and aviation. Well, I tell that story in that room, and someone who knows Mr. Berto text him while he's in the room, and they get up and confirm at the end, oh, no, this is absolutely true.
That's crazy.
So what the advice he's given us, advice we're to take seriously, that we need trade programs back in high school. The governor, although we disagreed on the gang enhancement bill, and he signed that bill, which I was not a fan of, still not a fan of, he also heard me a year prior saying that we need to make sure that young boys in Georgia, both black and white, have an opportunity to get a trade. Because in the black community, our boys aren't going to college at the rate they were, our girls are.
Right.
All my teachers who were college-educated women, they married tradesmen. They married the locksmith, they married the carpenters, they married men who made good money doing work with their hands. These men still read Chaucer, some of them went to other schools and stuff, but they picked up a trade. And the governor, I realized, heard and listened to me when he signed the Hope Scholarship back into order here in Georgia. When he signed that Hope Scholarship, not only does it help Georgia's kids who are getting B's and above, not only does it help them get into college for free, helps kids who are going to trade school as well. So I value my relationship with the governor. I value that he understands that his constituents, both Democrat and Republicans, are counting on him to make this state a place where opportunity can abound.
That leads into my next question. Minorities can be apprehensive on their choice of political party.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Form your own pact and make sure they know your vote is up for auction. It's that simple. If you're hyper-local, it matters less about what political party you're voting for and more about the person and the policy you're voting for. The person and the policy. Nathan Deal was a Republican, but he had a pretty good relationship with former Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed that allowed us to have some business interests that helped people that looked like me. Can't do nothing but shrug your shoulders, say, shit, You know, politics don't have no permanent friends or enemies. It figures it out. You know, there was a time where the Republican Party was the party of freedom, had people like Frederick Douglass attached to it, and sent the Union Army into the South to break up slavery. There was a time where the Democrats said the cornerstone, according to Alexander Stevenson, that the cornerstone of the Confederacy was slavery. So what I'm saying is I don't care what you call yourself, what mask you put on, what you know, if you fly a donkey or an elephant. I give a shit about what your policy does to affect the west side of Atlanta. Because that's where I am. That's where I live. That's I care about.
Killer Mike doesn't care what color it is, unless it's your community.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you know, everybody in my community don't always look like me.
Right.
But we got to care about our community.
Right.
We have to. We have to on a hyper local level.
Right.
You know, I want you to. You know, when you watch federal elections, sometimes you get caught up in the. I call it the Cowboys versus Redskins effect. Yeah, I remember people didn't care about football all year. All of a sudden, you see the Cowboys were playing the Redskins or something on Christmas Day, and it was the biggest thing. And you just like, what? And you were a Falcons fan last week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I've come to understand that people just want to feel like winners, and no one wants to feel like a loser.
I got you.
And I think that sometimes our vanity gets caught up in it. You know, people. I understand how caught up in an election you can be, but what I can't understand is how the day after the election you don't do anything. No matter who got win or lose, you're still a member of the community. Yeah. And I think that we all could do a better job of doing our little bit so no one has to do a lot.
Right. That's one thing I always admired with you, man. It's like you always back up your words. You always put the action.
You got to.
You know.
You got to.
One of your songs, Action Reaction.
Yeah. You got to do something, but you don't. But guess what? You don't have to do a lot. You don't have to save the world. First, just save yourself.
Right.
First, just take education seriously. Taking care of your mind, spirit, and body. Just take care of you, right? Then get with other people who take care of themselves and that you find commonality with, and help one another. Help one another. Help other people. You know, my grandparents were of the thinking, you know, if their yard was cut and their neighbor's yard wasn't cut, they was gonna go check on the neighbor. How you doing? You okay? You feel okay? We noticed your yard wasn't cut. Is your lawnmower working? Or it's not working? Would you like to borrow ours? Or you too tired? Okay, so we're gonna get another couple of neighbors and we're gonna cut your front yard. And we'll see about getting somebody back here to hack down the back. That's the way you solve problems. That's community.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can go to your city council. If you didn't do that for 6 months, you can say, hey, you're putting tickets on people's yards for abandoned cars or overgrown grass and stuff. We need some help. We pay our taxes every year. These people are paying taxes. So we need, whether it's a free lawnmower program that you're partnering with Home Depot with, but it's something, and as a city councilman, they're gonna figure that shit out. Yeah. You know, they're gonna figure it out. And that's how you effectively leverage power.
This is good information right here. My brother Killer Mike's in the building, TrendsetterSense, Rhythm and Streets. Your brother Andre 3000.
Stacks.
I believe you teased that an album was coming. Is that right?
Man, don't be listening to me. I be stoned.
I'm like on your social media or something. I felt like, but was it this album that he's ended up dropping?
I have no comments on Andre 3000 except that boy played a hell of a flute. Way to go, flute guy. My guy, man.
Did you know about that project? You knew about it, right?
What?
The flute project.
I didn't know nothing. I knew everything everybody else knew.
Man, you teased that the album was coming. You said he was working on the album,
I was geeked out my mind.
Don't let Killer Mike fool you. This is a very wise man I'm sitting next to.
Drugs.
Oh man. So, talking that shit.
Yeah.
You talked about associating consciousness with being broke.
Yeah.
But you kind of
I was talking to some specific people. Yeah, you know the fuck I'm talking to.
Okay.
Y'all three niggas know who I'm talking to.
Oh,
you broke ass niggas. Yeah, I'm talking to y'all. Yes, I'm talking to you, you broke motherfucker. You know exactly who I'm talking to. The motherfucker, I got $30,000 for your fucking organization. If you act like a bitch, yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you know who the fuck I'm talking to. And if you ever come out publicly, you just gonna show how much of a bitch ass nigga you is. Yeah, they know the fuck I'm talking to. Call me talking all that woke shit. You still gonna accept the donation, but you gonna act like somehow I'm not in legal allied with you. I love you, brother. I appreciate the organization. That's why I continue to help them where I can. But you a fuck nigga. Yeah, you know you a fuck nigga. And if you come out and say it's me, then the world already know. Yeah, so don't worry. I ain't making no overt allegations toward people who feel they're in their wokeness and all that. I'm cool. I done did my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I done did the science. I know my lessons. I knew what woke was before they called it woke when they said don't sleep.
Right.
Yeah, don't sleep. Stay awake, brother. You know what I'm saying? Keep your third eye open. I've been taught by the greatest of gurus too. I don't give a fuck what white folks define woke is. That somehow has become this shameful thing. I'm telling you, if you don't operate in a way like Marcus Garvey and like Elijah Muhammad, which is in a way that allowed black men and black women to self-employ themselves, then you have a chink in your motherfucking armor. If you do not operate like the Black Panthers that had a breakfast program that allowed children to eat so they could focus before they go to school, to the point that J. Edgar Hoover realized, oh my God, these niggas feed Negro children. The children gonna listen to them. So we better install free public schools. We better install a free breakfast program in our public school system. Got that directly from the fucking Panthers. If you're not doing that, then fuck that shit you talking about. You're not feeding no children. You're not teaching children. Fred Hampton said you're gonna have to first go through an education of the people. So if you don't do as Castro said, 20 years of education, what's your 20-year plan, motherfucker? Or you just plan on showing up every goddamn protest, asking for some goddamn donations, and nothing happened with the money, except buying fucking houses? Like, what the fuck you gonna do? See, I'm 48 years old. I done seen this shit happen over and over again. I done watched it on Phil Donahue. I done watched it on Oprah. Then watched it on goddamn Jerry Springer as it disintegrates into this bullshit you have now. Eventually, you have to do something. You have to study what it's worth, and you have to get better results by improving upon that. So if niggas be talking, right, niggas get talking all that shit, these organizations have done that, man, I've known at least 15 to 20 brothers who would have been stone cold killers had they not found an organization like the Nation of Islam. So where's our support of that? We know what they produce. We literally see what they produce. I've seen motherfuckers be trash as human beings, go in there, come out refined, businessmen now, husbands, fathers. Why ain't we supporting that? Why ain't we doing that? We saw what Marcus Garvey did with pennies. I said this on another show. Give me 1 million black people. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. Fuck it. Go ahead and start it up. Give me 1 million black people. Donate $10 a month. That ain't number 2 fast food orders, or maybe 1 now. Give me $10 a month. That's $10 million we move in a month, $120 million a year, and let's start to solve some of our own problems. What are our own problems? Well, people like Mutulu Shakur, who got an opportunity to come home before passing on, God bless. People like Leonard Peltier, who's a Native American brother who has diabetes, sitting behind in jail, rotting away. At least they will have some comfort. We could send packages to the prisoners that are political. We could make sure that Rosa Parks' rent didn't have to be paid by the owner of Little Caesars. Or we could have matched the rent. It's a lot we can do with $120 million a year. But do we want to do it? Or do we want to just sit and watch niggas talk about rappers online? Oh, I don't like these. Oh, fuck these niggas, these niggas. But nigga, you a nigga too. You a woke nigga. You a woke nigga and a broke nigga. And the other nigga who ain't broke and still woke ain't doing what he could. So it's like, man, let's just give each other a break. And let's just figure out. So, no, I'm not casting a shadow on people who claim to be woke or anything like that. I'm simply saying the 3 niggas I'm talking to, you niggas know you full of shit, nigga. So fuck y'all. That's simple, and it's an eloquent diss record, and people like it and dance to it, and I make a lot of money because of y'all niggas. Thank you. Thank you, nigga.
Killer Mike, never been shy. Where did the fearlessness come from, man?
My Betty.
Yeah.
Beatrice, my girl. Denise. And thank God my grandfather taught me how to shoot. There has to be a righteous conviction because otherwise I like smoking weed with my wife. I like going to the flame. I like driving muscle car. I'm a real simple guy. Right. But when you see wrong, you got to stand for what's right.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm not fearless. I get scared like everybody else gets scared. But when you see wrong, You just have to stand for what's right.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
You know, somebody got to say, this is not right.
Right.
Somebody got to say, we got to do the right thing.
Right.
And usually, when you do it, other people will join you.
How were you have a great way of connecting to different generations, young, older. What's the key to that?
I just got to get at the bed and with it, man. My grandparents were 44 and 54 when I was born. So a lot of the talks with me wasn't, I was questioning them and they was questioning me.
Yeah.
I was like, so what, granddaddy, grandmama, what is? I was very inquisitive, but they asked me too.
Yeah.
I remember my grandma, man. Oh man, she was a
you
church
introduced
girl.
me to your grandma.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Betty Cluntz, man. I called her Beatrice. She said, my buddy Sleepy said, man, Granny pulled up on me, and she asked me, so I said, what she asked, Sleep? He said, man, she said, Sleep. I said, what? She said, if I pull up on the car, Sleep, and I see a man driving and a lady head going up and down his lap, sleeping, what that mean? I said, what the fuck? Hey, he was the happiest driver on the road. But she was eternally curious about everything from the ratchet to the righteous. And I think that what I understand is that children are just little human beings. My mentor, Alice Johnson and Reverend James Orange, at 14, 15 years old, they were already calling us, me and my friends, leader. And they were already asking, what do you think about this? So I've always been engaged with a set of adults that respected me as a thinker. And not just me, my friends and comrades too. So, and I think that's how I try to engage children. So in terms of people that are younger than me, I'm seeking to learn something. And if I happen to impart some wisdom in our exchange, I'm glad to have done that, but I don't approach them like I'm your teacher. I approach them like I'm here to learn something too,
Love, man. Yeah. Love, man. My brother, man. I appreciate you.
I love you, man.
For sharing this platform, man. I mean, we dived into so many things. Once again, congratulations on everything that you're experiencing, and the chapters continue.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna keep pushing. Hopefully, when you come back, we're gonna be to dress this up some. We got another couple buildings. We're gonna do audio, visual production here. We're gonna, we trying to do our version of Main Street and more.
There it is.
A compound, man. I want to tell all the kids out there, man. Like, don't stop believing. Don't stop adjusting and pushing towards your achievement. It is. I sit here 20 years into the game. I sit here just proof that your dream can be. It may not become in the way that you expected it to, but just be relentless in getting up every day and putting one foot in front of the other. Be absolutely relentless about it. Yeah.
You hear it right here. God's favor shining bright.
Hey man, we gotta bring them Grammys home to Atlanta, man. That's it. Rap album of the year is that
album is amazing, man.
Thank you, man.
Amazing.
It means and for people who hadn't heard it, if you looking, I just give people who are detractors a lot of times. If you say, what's happened to hip hop, maybe you haven't heard Michael because you hadn't heard records like Something for Junkies that acknowledges, not only addiction, but addicts. Like I rap about my auntie on that who my girl. She shamed me, made me feel like a little boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking I'd have made 10,000 weekend on the man. And, she say something to me, make me feel it's shame. I don't almost blush. Because she helped me understand I'm still a child. When you listen to, Exit 9, you hear the story just growing up on MLK, when you hear motherless, the pain, the agony of losing a parent. A lot of people said they listened to that record and their parents still alive, they had been estranged from them, but they called them, you know what I mean? When you hear Shed Tears, you hear me and Mozzie talking about, man, it's being a man a lot of times where your pain go unacknowledged. You get in that bathroom, you let them tears fly, you come on the other side of the door, you gotta take care of them women and them children. So, I'm glad that the people who heard it, saw the value in the art, and I'm imploring other people to take some time and listen, not out of vanity or ego for me, but because I think that a piece of the art will pierce your heart and it'll mean something to you.
Killer Mike, man. I appreciate you.
Love you, brother.
Shout out DJ Swift, my man Mike Allen, Rhonda,
Mike.
The whole team, man. My
Villains,
brother
man. Love,
brother. My brother, Killer Mike. You see what it is, Rhythm and Streets.
Trendsetter. Know what it is.